near misses, Xander Schauffele and Colin Morikawa. Matthew Wolff last week. You, of course, cash with DJ. The matchups have been very successful. Let's get to Matt Youmans' plays for the Workday Charity Open. This will be the first of 2 weeks. They play at Muirfield Village. And I know Mr. Youmans, as far as the outrights to win the tournament, is on the tournament favorite. Justin Thomas, another one of his favorite players, got a good number on JT at Circus Sports at 13-1. He has Brooks Koepka, real good number there at 19-1. His other favorite player, Xander Schauffele, jumped on him at 22. Ricky Fowler, who I think is an interesting play this week, and if you get the right number, I think it's worth it. 38-1 there on Fowler, and then Benny on at 82-1. Any reaction to those five?
Yeah, I can't really argue. I didn't play it, but I can't really argue with Thomas. We do, as you'll see in a moment, match up on a couple of these, but Fowler was another one I considered, and I kind of like him next week at the Memorial. Hopefully he doesn't go off. Hopefully for Matt's sake he wins, but for my sake, for not including him, that he doesn't. But he's got 2 runner-ups at the Memorial Tournament and has always been pretty solid here. I like the way he played last week, even though he really didn't contend. I think
the argument, it was against a weaker field, but I agree with you. He wasn't shabby. He's got a great track record on Nicklaus courses, and you know, he's really good buddies with the Nicklaus family. And I think that's a wise decision to maybe look at him next week, because Ricky seems to do better on the faster putting surface.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he ended up tied for 12th last week. I shortchanged him on a previous appearance. I thought he was like 20th, but gained strokes pretty much across the board, not only off the tee to green approach, was positive in terms of the putting. So some good things maybe are lurking here for Ricky Fowler, who constantly, especially myself and Matt, constantly disappoints us that he should win more than he does. And he's a likable guy, and I would like to see him break through and get that major at some point.
As far as the matchups for Mr. Youmans, he's got Koepka at even money over John Rahm, and then back to Ricky Fowler at -120 over Patrick Reed.
And I also played that matchup, Fowler over Reed.
Okay, and I know you also played Brooks Koepka on the outright market as well.
I did, and look, I wish the number was a little bit better. He and DJ were my top 2 guys at the Travelers. DJ ended up getting home, as Koepka did have to withdraw because his caddy actually had contracted, or had a positive test rather, for the coronavirus, Ricky Elliott. But now he's back. I just think he's in a good frame of mind here. Now, he hasn't had success here at Muirfield Village. I think his best finish is like a 31st, pretty nondescript finish, but he looks like a guy motivated to get a result here. I think I only care about the majors thing is very overblown. And I think being that he had that knee surgery and that he was obviously uncomfortable to start the season in terms of how he was playing. And I think it's no better evidence of that is the putting. He was 208th in strokes gained putting before the stoppage in play. He was losing, I think, about 0.71 strokes per round on the greens. Since the restart, where he's played a couple times, he now rates 4th. And just since the restart, not overall for the season numbers, but he's gaining over a stroke per round on the greens. He's starting to roll it better. And he really has spoken about not only how his body feels great, but he simplified his game. And he had a meeting with his team and his agent and his caddy and his physio and the whole team Koepka, if you will, and said, let's get back to what we're doing and let's get back to what got us here and not overthink things and not trying to play too perfect and just go out and simplify matters and play golf. And he also might have a little bit of motivation, too. His fellow Bash brother and his good buddy DJ won at the Travelers, where he had to withdraw. And then now Bryson DeChambeau is the toast of the town,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Remember just about 12 months ago when it was Brooks Koepka that was toast of the town? It was like, how many majors is this guy going to win? This guy's going to win double-digit majors, and how soonly we forget. And look, Bryson rightfully is being the talk of the town right now, but how soon we forget about this guy. So I did like Brooks here at 19-1. I also agreed with one of Matt's plays on Benny On. Benny On loves Nicklaus courses and just goes well. He's got 5 top 10s in his last 15 worldwide starts, 2 top 5s at the Honda Classic, including earlier this season, which is PGA National, another Nicklaus design. And he was a runner-up here, actually lost to Bryson DeChambeau in a playoff back in 2018. Putting is usually his drawback. He's a good ball striker. He's a good, solid, all-around player. But
there's where we talked about the slower putting surface maybe helps a guy like Benny.
Yeah,
he's had success here before, even with a normal putting surface at the Memorial. I wanted to talk about a couple of your selections that I've seen on a lot of cards this week, and I think they're very intriguing. And that's Joel Damon at 100-1, and then also Gary Woodland at 50-1. Talk to me about those two guys. Woodland traditionally has not been a great putter, although since the restart, his flat stick has been on fire. Joel Damon is really an up-and-coming player. For a couple years now, he's had success. And I took a hard look at both of those guys. One of them's on my card, one of them is not.
Yeah, Joel Damon I'll start with first in around 100-1 in that range. Top 15 on the tour in both strokes gained approach and strokes gained tee to green. He's also top 25 in off the tee and also in scrambling. 8 top 20 finishes or better in his last 14 events, dating back to the Shriners Hospitals for Children Open right here at TPC Summerlin in Las Vegas. This just looks like a guy that is going to break through at some point.
100 seems big for him.
Yeah,
right?
he's playing really good
maybe
golf.
Maybe he should be 65. I think he's that good right now.
Yeah, he's playing really good golf, and I think is in a good place. He just needs that one real good performance to, I think, give him the confidence that he can win out here. Woodland, half the price, 50-1. Hasn't set the world on fire since he won the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach last summer, but he's got a couple top 5s and 6 top 10s, including one earlier this year at the Honda Classic, PGA National, Nicklaus design. Just the ball striking stats, the greens in regulation, the strokes gained approach, the scoring average. I didn't think he was getting talked about enough this week, and I think he can go well.
Yeah, and Jeff Benson mentioned he had him for the PGA Championship at 60-1. Of course, he was in the finals against Rory McIlroy at that match play in 2015. Wins down the street at Pebble Beach. Could be a sharp play for the PGA Championship. We'll get to my plays now. In the outright market, I match up with Matt Humans and took a shot on Justin Thomas. I think the stats across the board this week, this guy is a deserved favorite. I don't like to bet on the tournament defending champ, and not that Cantley is. We've never played the Workday before. Cantley's the defending champ at the Memorial. I stayed away from him. Another guy that was a relatively short price, and I match up with you on this one, is Justin Rose. Has tremendous success here, and you know I like to use corollary courses. Justin Thomas has won the WGC Bridgestone up the road at Firestone Country Club. Justin Rose has had tremendous success there. Also, another guy on my card, Bubba Watson, has had great success at both the Memorial and at Firestone. Adam Hadwin just had the price is probably a little low on Adam Hadwin. He should probably be more like 65-1, but I think his stats, again, really match up well with this course. Had a great week last week. And then I took some longer bombs on guys that have had success. I talked about corollary courses, the WGC Bridgestone at Firestone. I also like to look at how these guys have done at the Masters. Jack really designed Muirfield Village with Augusta National in mind. And then also, the Masters has a corollary with Riviera. You get a lot of the same winners at the Genesis Open in Los Angeles as you do at the Masters. And Russell Henley, Max Homa, Adam Hadwin, they've all had a lot of success at Riviera.
Yeah, and you talk about corollary courses, Brady. That was kind of my bomb for the week was Johnny Vegas at 150-1. Johnny Vegas is a 2-time back-to-back winner at the RBC Canadian Open, which is played in Glen Abbey in Oakville, Ontario, just a little bit outside of Toronto. So he's a guy that's gone well on Nicklaus designs at Glen Abbey, and also has won at the American Express when it was the Bob Hope Classic, which has a couple Nicklaus designs in the Rhoda. And, Woodland, another guy, was won at the Barracuda. Now, granted, Barracuda up in Tahoe is more of a it's a Stableford scoring, so it's more of a birdie fest up there. But still, similar course corollary. So I went with you on that. And then back to your Justin Rose. I'm also on Rose this week. I'm interested to see what's going to happen here because I thought he got out to a good start, even though he missed the cut at the Travelers. He's made a lot of changes in his game, not only the equipment that we've talked about in previous episodes of Long Shots, but also has recently split with his longtime swing coach, that being Sean Foley. And all of his PGA Tour wins are with Sean Foley. He's won 10 times on the PGA Tour, and he's been with Foley for like 11 years. But he's taking control of his game, I think, and I think it's easier for a veteran player, and I think Justin Rose has a good self-inventory of where his game is. So I don't think this breakup with Foley is going to necessarily be a negative. That's not an indictment of Foley. That's more of a pro Justin Rose thinking that, hey, I'm going to take a full accountability of my swing and my game and everything, and I know what I need to do to get back in the winner's circle. So I'm trusting the player here.
He's a real horse for the course, and I thought 26-1 was a pretty decent price on a player of his caliber, the number 13 player in the world. Want to ask you real quick before we get out of here. Shane Lowry in my head-to-head matchup, plus 120 over Billy Horschel. Billy Horschel does not have a great track record here at the Memorial at this golf course. I think he's finished top 10 just one time. But Lowry, a course corollary again as a former winner up at Firestone.
I was just going to mention that. He's a guy that won against a big-time field actually a few years ago. Before he won the Open Championship last year at Royal Portrush, that was kind of his introduction, at least stateside. He was well known in Europe, but introduction stateside in terms of the fact that he can play with the best in the world on any given week. So I don't dislike that matchup play of Shane Lowry here.
And, of course, you match up with Matt Youmans on Ricky Fowler at minus 120 in a head-to-head matchup over Patrick Reed. We're going to stay at Muirfield Village next week in Ohio when we return on Long Shots. It'll be round 2 at the house that Jack built. And we'll bring in our friend from the Golf Channel, Will Gray, will help break it down as we transition from the Workday Charity Open to the Memorial in Dublin, Ohio. This is VSiN and VSiN.com, the sports betting network. Good night, everybody.